Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tabifolks Talks. This is a live webinar series put on by Tabifolk, which is an accessible travel forum. Last week, we were joined by Culture City, who is a nonprofit leader in making the world more inclusive for people with sensory needs, and that highlighted one of our forums on Tabifolk, which is sensory inclusive travel. And then today we're going to talk about another one of our forum categories, which is the Disney parks. And we are joined today by Jamie of Adventures by Jamie, who is a Disney expert. So thank you, Jamie, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, we're super excited to have you. So if you haven't signed up for tabifolk.com, you can download it on the App Store or join on the website if you would like to share resources, information, or just want to talk about accessible travel. So before we start, I just wanted to say that if you have any questions for Jamie, we can answer some of them live. And if we don't get to them, we will hopefully have her answer after the fact. So you can leave your comments before or after. And this recording will be live on the Tabifolk YouTube channel. And I do want to give a visual descriptor for any viewers who are blind or low vision. So I am talking in front of a gray background that says Tabifolk Talks. And there's two screens on the screen. I'm in one of them, Jamie's in the other. And I am a white woman with shorter length brown hair, and I'm wearing a blue sweater and holding a microphone. So, Jamie, do you mind giving a quick visual descriptor?
Sure. So I am a white woman with dark brown hair. I'm wearing a red blouse, and behind me is a beige bookcase with Adventures by Jamie in a picture frame, and some books, some mugs, candles on the bookcases.
Okay, great. Well, so this episode is all about the Disney parks in the era post changes in the disability access service. So I just wanted to start off the episode by saying that the purpose of this episode is to talk about how to plan and enjoy the parks during this time after these changes, and that while we both hope the changes are restored to being more inclusive of more disabilities, we are going to spend the episode talking less about the advocacy portion and more about things that people who still want to go will hopefully find useful. So, to start, Jamie, do you mind telling us a bit about yourself, your travel agency, and how you keep up with all of the many updates in the Disney parks?
Absolutely. So I am 46 years old. I have congenital muscular dystrophy. And so that basically is just an overall weakness in my body. I have never walked. So I have been a wheelchair user my entire life. I utilize a power wheelchair for my mobility. And I am so thankful that I was raised in a household that really taught that I was no different than anybody else. And so my mindset really has been just that. Like there's always a way to make it happen. And I remember my family traveling a lot. And of course, Disney was a big part of my childhood growing up. And I just loved it as a child. I love it even more, I think, as an adult. And so that really is what brought me into the travel industry. I have a marketing background, um, and I'm a graduate of the University of South Florida in uh, social media marketing, mass communications, basically, and television and production, as well as a master's in management. And so I own a marketing company, and within that, my clients would that I do event planning for would ask me, well, can you also plan the the hotel side of it, the flights, the car rentals, not just plan the event. And so that got me thinking about how do I become a travel agent? How do I do all of this? But that is really what sent me down that rabbit hole of, well, not only could I fill that need for my marketing company, but there are a lot of people like me that love travel, but travel just looks different because we have different needs. And I know just from booking my own travel over the years, I wasn't seeing a lot of agencies that focused at all on accessible travel. So that became my niche, and what I really wanted to do. So in 2019, Adventures by Jamie was born, and now we have over 100 agents on our team. We book Disney, yes, but we book any and all travel. So if you want to go on a cruise, you want to go to Europe, you want an all inclusive. I mean, the list is endless. We book everything. We do not have fees for our services. And the last 2 years, we have won Best Travel Agency in Florida. So I'm so proud of our team.
That's awesome. I loved hearing that story because I had never heard that story before. So it's super interesting how you started. And it was funny when you said you think you enjoy Disney more as an adult because I feel the same way. And sometimes when I pass the screaming kids, I'm like, oh, my experience is so much elevated than what's ever going on over there, which sounds terrible, but it's kind of the truth. So in the beginning, I stated, that there were changes to the disability access service. So, can you please explain a little bit more about these changes? Who now qualifies, even though a diagnosis isn't a 100% guarantee, and what the process is for applying?
Absolutely. So, yes, Disney has definitely tightened the reins on who does qualify. So, currently, those with autism, neurodivergent, and the like, sensory issues and everything, those are the ones that currently qualify. However, I always put a little asterisk here because I have had clients that should qualify because they fit that, that demographic of people, and they didn't get it either. So that is technically who is supposed to get it. Now I have seen a change as of very recently that online it used to say the word only for the people that were getting this this DAS pass. Now the word only is not there. So nothing has been announced by Disney that there's a change. I am hopeful and taking it as maybe the reins are loosening a little bit, and they have been hearing our voices. That do we need to be as lax as we were before, where so many people abused it? Absolutely not. But do we need to be more inclusive? Yes, we absolutely do. Another thing that has changed recently is the extended period of time that you have to register for DAS. It used to be 30 days prior, and now it's 60 days prior, which is very helpful because if you are somebody that is planning on the only way that Disney is going to work for you is if you get approved. If you do it 60 days out and you are not approved, you're able to cancel your trip without penalty. So that's, we don't want anybody to have to cancel their trip, but it's more of a win than to be out money if you're, less than 30 days. So if you're going to do, or you're going to go through the process, you can no longer do it in person. So whether you're doing it the 60 days, the 30 days, somewhere in between, you go online and you schedule the call, the Zoom call, and you have to sign a waiver that you understand the terms and conditions, basically, of who is going to qualify for this. And then you'll have, a few minute consult. I think my consult lasted maybe 5 minutes. I mean, it wasn't very long. Now, keep in mind, whoever needs the DAS pass, even if it's a 5-year-old, they need to be on that call. The cast member that is doing the call must see and ultimately take a screenshot of the person that needs DAS if you are approved. So that would be the process. And now, and the number is escaping me, and Danielle, maybe you will be able to help me out here, but it used to be that it was good for 120 days, but I know it's over 200 now.
Yeah, I think I did see that it's over. I think it might be 240, but it's
Yeah.
only, I think, but we can put that in the comment description later, but I believe you can correct me if I'm wrong. Like if you get the pass for Disney World, it's only good for Disney World, not for Disneyland, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah. So that would be more so if you were planning multiple trips or if you lived in the area or something like that.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So would you say that, people might as well try, but maybe just keep their expectations low since there's a lot of unknowns? Would you say that's probably a good strategy?
Absolutely. You never know what the outcome is going to be. And if you don't get it on your first call, there's nothing saying that you can't call back tomorrow and try again.
Yeah.
There's no limit, at least that I have found. There's no limit that you can take to apply for it.
Yeah.
So maybe your outcome would be different with a different cast member. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Absolutely. I know we're definitely in a stage of who knows because there's a lot of unknowns.
Right.
And maybe they're learning from the data and feedback they're getting and things like that. And maybe, like you said, there was the change on the website. Who knows what that means because there was no announcement. But yeah, even like, I hear of like questions people get asked and and you would agree, it's less you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's less about a diagnosis. They're not really looking for that. It's more like what's going on with the line. Like, why can't you stay in a long queue for a certain amount of time? That's like the main topic they're asking about, correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's more so of the like, what is it doing to you mentally?
Yeah.
That is what they are looking for. Like, how is this stressing you out? It's not so much like, as an example, I have a heart condition in addition to my muscular dystrophy. So I have a defibrillator, and that pre, changes with DAS Pass. That is what qualified me, not my wheelchair. So my defibrillator, my heart condition, like if I get overheated, and that could be a trigger for my condition, and I am not trying to have my defibrillator shock me.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen.
Doesn't
So
sound too magical.
right, not too magical. And so I was hopeful that that would be it would take into consideration. But that has nothing to do with my mental capacity of dealing with a long line, dealing with crowds, dealing with noise, none of that, none of the sensory stuff, So that's why they're like, no, sorry, you don't qualify.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what they're looking for. Like, what is it about this that would make it impossible for you to wait in line mentally?
Okay. Okay, yeah, so that's good to think about, but yeah, I think, like people, should still try, but like we said, there's a lot unknown, a lot of people who have gotten denied, but still give it a try. But to pivot for people who are denied the service, Do you have any recommendations on things they can do to improve their trip experience? And I'll also say we will agree not to get mad if you suggest any recommendations that cost money, because I think it is best for people to know all their options, and you are simply the messenger. So anything
Right.
you can provide.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, none of us want to spend the extra money, right? But yes, there is, of course, the Lightning Lane, different options that Disney has now. That is the additional fee. So that is basically DAS with a price tag. So yes, there is that option. But taking, you know, uh, cost out of it, just be realistic of your day. Obviously build in time for breaks and things of that nature. Try to look at the rides that you absolutely must do, right? Like, I absolutely love the Haunted Mansion. So I want to make sure that I'm getting on Haunted Mansion. So that might be my first ride of the day. No matter how long it is, I know I want to be on that ride, you know? So just really planning out, like, what are your must haves for the day? And a lot of times too, you can also, like, when you are denied the DAS, they give you options where you could have somebody in your party wait in the regular line while you do something else. You go and eat, you go and shop, you go and just relax somewhere, no matter what you want to do. And then your party member can text you and say, hey Jamie, we're at the front of the line. You can come meet us. You go to a cast member, they take you sort of a back way, maybe through the exit, but it will lead to where your party is, and then you get on the ride. You also have the option to go up to a cast member and basically tell them your situation of why you need a callback time for the ride. Now, it's up to their discretion whether they give it to you or not. But you can go up to them, ask for a callback time. If they grant it, whenever you come back, now you get to go through the lightning lane. So there's those options. I mean, those are free,
Okay.
but yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for explaining that, because it is helpful to know, and I'm glad to know that Haunted Mansion's your favorite ride, because sometimes this room I'm in, the light will flicker, so at least I know you'll enjoy that and won't be scared. Um, but so far so good. So there are like pros and cons to going at different times of year, from temperatures to festivals and deals. Can you talk, like, briefly about different times of the year and some pros and cons?
Absolutely. So I live in Florida, so my home park is Disney World. So that is the park that I know best. So speaking with Disney World, I would say, like, now is a wonderful time to go. Like, the weather is not too cold, not too hot. There is the Festival of the Arts going on at Epcot. The crowds are a bit lower, which is nice. So this is a great time to go. Also, like, September's hot, but the crowds are a bit lower at the parks here. Um, any time when you have the Halloween party, that keeps getting longer and longer and longer. Like, it opened in August last year, all the way through Halloween. So anytime you have a party, and then right after that, it was the Christmas party. But anytime you have a party, big crowds, you know. Summer, always very, very busy because people are on vacation, and it's always very hot. So depending If you're looking for low crowd, I would say beginning of the year, January through beginning of April and everything. And then also September, um, September, and
Okay.
then avoid the summer if
Yeah.
you're looking at heat and number of people. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, that's great to know. And I know I feel like Halloween, even outside of Disney, is getting like bigger every year. I feel like more people decorated their houses for Halloween than Christmas this year around me. But yeah, that's definitely getting super popular. Um, but yeah, thank you for explaining that. And like you said, your home park is Walt Disney World, and some people get confused with they sometimes call that one in Florida Disneyland. But if you don't mind clarifying Disneyland and Disney World. And then, if you don't mind telling us some of your highlights or experiences visiting the parks and some experiences that you have been able to enjoy as a power wheelchair user.
sure. Now, I mean, comparing the two, Disney World is in Florida, Disneyland is in California. Disneyland is the OG. That's where it all began. I have personally never been to Disneyland, so I don't have a lot personally to tell you about Disneyland. I can say that Disney World is much larger. There's four parks compared to two. They have three on property resorts. We have 30 plus over here. So there's differences there. Also, just from research anyway online, there are, I know personally, there are 17 rides within Disney World that you can remain in a mobility device to enjoy. There was like five at Disneyland.
Okay, that's interesting.
So there, yeah. Now, again, I've never been there in person, so I don't want to say for sure, but at least what I'm seeing online, there's much less at Disneyland where you can remain in a wheelchair.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for explaining that more. Um, so going changing topics a bit. So, many people with disabilities also have complex medical needs. So, can you talk about what kind of like specialized guidance that you provide for people who book with your Adventures by Jamie travel agency, especially for trips to the Disney parks?
Yeah, so we make sure that, if they're bringing their own medical equipment that they need, we make sure that obviously their accommodations are going to accommodate, all of their things. Also, making sure that they know the transportation that is accessible for them, making sure they know the attractions that are accessible to them. If they're not bringing their own equipment, we deal with a lot of different suppliers that we can rent medical equipment and everything through. So we help with that. Again, our services are absolutely free, so it's not going to cost you anything additional to work with us. But we just want to make sure, obviously, that all of our clients' needs are met because you deserve to have a magical vacation just like everybody else.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, that free part, you can't go wrong. I like having a trip booked, but I don't like doing all the work. So that is why I do work with one of your uh, Adventures by Jamie travel agents to do my booking. So we do have a comment from someone whose home park is Disneyland. And they said that it is, so shout out to Carlos who commented from YouTube, and he says it's Disneyland is better if you don't have a lot of energy. So that was an interesting comment, and I could definitely see where that would be the case because it's two parks,
It's
and
a much smaller.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's interesting. And there's so much at the parks like that, if you're not into a specific type of ride or you can't, like there's always something going on. Like you mentioned, the Festival of the Arts is going on now. There's so many artists and so much, like the chalk work I've seen just pictures of, but it's really amazing.
Yeah.
Is there anything like exciting, like planned for the parks, that you want to highlight for anyone thinking about a trip, or anything new that you want to mention or that you're excited about?
I mean, I'm very excited that there are so many things coming now. I sadly don't know when, but I love Disney villains and everything, and we're getting a whole new villains land at Disney World. So I'm super excited about that. I know Disneyland, you see like the evil queen walking around or Maleficent walking around. The only way that we can meet the evil queen here at Disney World is if you go to Storybook Dining, which I've done before, and she's amazing. But I'm really excited for the Villains Land to open up, but we just don't have dates of that yet. But I'm really excited this year. I had planned to go to the Halloween party last year, and some things came up, and we just weren't able to go. So we still have our ticket. So we're gonna make sure to get to the Halloween party this year.
Oh,
I've
that's
never
awesome.
been,
Oh, okay,
so
very exciting. That's awesome. Yeah, I
yeah.
think I can't remember if I saw whether they're doing a villains parade. I don't know if that was at Disneyland or Disney World, but that may, I think I saw something that may come first before the land because with construction they never give us a date because then we'll hold them to it, being like, I thought you said September 1st,
Right.
or you know what I mean? Yeah, and construction can have delays and all that, but yeah, so they're probably smart to do that because we remember everything. Yeah, I'm excited for. I'm a big Monsters Inc. person, so there's a very high tech type of ride coming in the future, and then I'm hoping it's not too much for me to go on, but I'm just glad they're expanding like the presence of Monsters Inc. in the parks because they're one of my favorites.
Yes, I felt the same way about Cosmic Rewind,
Okay.
and I don't have a lot of upper body strength, so the only roller coaster type ride that I can really do is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
Okay.
And even at that, I have to have my boyfriend like hold on to my chest and make sure that I'm okay. And I said, you ride Cosmic Rewind first and see if it's what I say called Jamie friendly. And I was hoping and hoping because I love Guardians of the Galaxy, like the movies and everything. And he got off the ride, and as soon as we locked eyes, he was just like, absolutely not.
Oh,
No. So I'm hoping because I love Monsters Inc. too. So
yeah.
I'm hoping that will be Jamie friendly.
Yeah, no, that's a great rating system because it's funny because we could go on all night if we went into the cruise because I have only one more question after this because we try to keep it to a half hour. But I when I saw you were able to do the ride on the Wish, the water,
The water slide, yeah.
yeah, when I saw you were able to do it, that it was Jamie friendly, I was like, "Oh, I can," because I've never done a water slide before. So that rating system helped me. But yeah, I've never done
There you
Guardians either.
go.
So yeah, I
Yep.
probably shouldn't. So that makes me feel better though, because some people be like, "Oh, whatever," they'll be like, but when you don't have that upper body strength, you can
Yeah.
be, going all over the place.
Right.
Um, Okay, so final question. Where can people go to learn more about you, your travel agency, and your adventures in the Disney parks?
Absolutely. So the best place is going to be Instagram and Facebook. We post a lot of reels and photos and updates. So just look up Adventures by Jamie, and I spell Jamie Jamie. So follow us on social media and also adventuresbyjamie.com.
Okay, great. Well, Thank you so much, Jamie. It's been great talking to you. Like I said, we could talk Disney all night, but we'll keep it brief. And if anyone wants to book a trip, they'll have access to all your hidden secrets or that you were willingly sharing with us tonight. And I know you have so many more insights to share for people booking. And like one of our commenters said, everyone's needs are different, which is true. So that's why I think it's so great for people to book with the travel agency because like we've mentioned, it's free, to use your services at Adventures by Jamie. So I
Yep.
think it's a win-win. So again, thanks so much for coming on. And this episode will be airing later if anyone wants to rewatch it on YouTube to make some notes. But I hope everyone has a great rest of the night. Thank you.
Thanks.